Good day. Sunday afternoon here in Vancouver, and I thought I'd drop in and share a little something that I just something that I read that made me think about something. My daughter is sleeping right now; she's having a little nap, and any minute, actually, my phone might go off because the baby monitor is on there. So if it goes off, well, I'm gonna have to run and go get her. But so she's sleeping, and my wife and I are hustling right now, getting some projects done. I've got a webinar coming up on Wednesday, May 9th, that I'm going to be doing at 12 noon with my new coaching and consulting business, TribeX. And she's working on some interior design projects that she's doing, some really cool stuff. Anyways, I was doing, because there's some stuff coming up, and I was reminded of an exercise that I did years ago. This is when I was 19 years old, 20 years old. I was fortunate enough to buy a house when I went to chiropractic college. Me and a friend of mine, we went in together, and thankfully, because of my parents who loaned me the money for the down payment, thank you again, mom and dad, if you're watching this. We were able to buy this house. And so I'm home on I'm home on summer vacation, and I'm visiting a friend of mine in Ontario, in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And I remember lying on her bed and wondering, like, holy shit, when I get home down to Atlanta, back to chiropractic college, I was moving into this house, or we had just moved in, sorry, and I was going back for the summer quarter. And I realized that I had no money. Like, I literally had like $20 or so to my name. I had enough money to get down to Atlanta, like to drive down to Atlanta, and I had nothing left. And I just bought this house. I've got rent coming up. I've got this whatever happening, and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do? So in that time, what I decided to do, and I still remember doing it. I had a big pad of paper. Now I had used my iPad for stuff. I had like a big pad of paper that I was using, and I lied down on the bed in her guest room, and I just wrote down a list of everything that I could possibly think of. Like, I was just going, like, it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter how ludicrous it sounded. It didn't matter how unrealistic it was. But I made a list of everything that I could possibly do when I get down to Atlanta to make some money. And so I was just spitballing stuff, and I just kind of wrote. And all of a sudden I had this giant list of like 30 or 40 things that I could do. And so what it did for me in that moment was I took a situation that I was in, and I thought, oh my God, like it just seemed so insurmountable. But all of a sudden, once I started writing things down, once I just started writing ideas down, whether it was just ridiculous or not, I started to see the possibility of what could be. I started to see the things that I could or had to do to make sure that I fed myself. So I went back down to Atlanta, and granted, for I think it was the first week and a half to 2 weeks. I can't remember exactly now. It was a long time ago now. But I lived on porridge. I lived on oatmeal, and someone had given me a liter container of maple syrup. Canadian maple syrup was fantastic. So I ate oatmeal with maple syrup for like 2 weeks straight. And in the process of doing so, I found a job. I actually found two jobs at the time. There's all kinds of stuff that we did. And so I just remember going through that recently about just making a list of all kinds of things that I could do. And I actually read a story yesterday night that reminded me of, or that kind of reminded me back of that time. And it was of a comedian, a very famous comedian now, named Tiffany Haddish. She is like everywhere. If you haven't heard of Tiffany Haddish, you need to, number one. And two, you might have been living under a rock, because she's just blowing up. She's been on Oprah, she's been on Ellen, she's been, she's everywhere. It's really, really cool. And she comes from if you get to know her story, she actually came out with a book as well. And she tells a story about, like her childhood. She had a terrible childhood. She was abused. She was, abused by her husband. She was, all kinds of stuff. She's gone to the brink of death and back. And now she's this big famous comedian. And when she was starting out as a comedian, she was living in her car. I think it was like a Geo Metro. She was living in her little Geo Metro. And so she would stay in her car during the day. And at night she would go out, and she was still trying to work. She was still going to comedy clubs. She was still, getting on stage, trying out material, just trying to make it. And when she was still doing the work, right? And so she would sleep in her car. And in the middle of the night, if she needed to, she'd go sleep outside in a park somewhere. And so one night she's at a club and she's doing a set. She gets done her set, and a giant comedian at the time, who's still probably one of the biggest comedians of our day, was Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart was at the club and he saw her and they talked and stuff like that. And so he walked her out to her car. And when they got to her car, he saw what seemed like, oh, someone's living in here. And he said, you live in your car? Like, what is going on? And she said, I'm between homes right now. And, she was feeling really down, really depressed about it. And so they talked, and I want to read the whole story because it's a great story from the book. But he finally says, listen, you can't do this. Here's $300. Go get a hotel room. And what I want you to do is make a list. And once you make that list, I want you to take one item at a time and start tackling it. And so she did. She made this giant list of stuff that she wanted to do, like make people laugh and work with Jada Pinkett Smith and have her own home and all this stuff. And she just started going down the list and just started doing stuff. And so one of the things I'll share with you guys here is something that, if you are stuck in a place, and I get it, I've been there, and we still get stuck in places, regardless of how much or how little we have, we start to think like, holy shit, the world is coming down on us. And here's a great way just to get your mind going. This is the same thing that I did when I was 19, same thing that I did today, the same thing that Kevin Hart told to Tiffany Haddish to do. And like I said, if you are in that place, you know that you have the resources within you to do whatever it is that you want. Life may look really shitty right now. Things may look really down, and you may not see a way out. And I get it. I've completely been there before. Completely. But know that you have more inside of you than anything on the outside. So it's not your resources that you have, but it's your resourcefulness. So one of the things, I'll show you if I can just pull up my little iPad here. So all you need to, just grab a pen and paper. If you don't have a pen and paper, grab a napkin and ask someone for a pen. Whatever. So you grab, I gotta open this up here. Oh, my little Ev here. All right. So grab a pen and paper. Then all you're going to do is on it, you're going to write anything. Just, I want whatever it is, right? Just, I want to make $1 million. I want to find the love of my life. I want to start getting along with my kids. I want to change my job. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want, whatever it is that you want. And it doesn't matter if it sounds stupid, if it sounds egotistical, if it's just, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What I want. And then from there, what you're going to write is a series of I can. And so I can. So if I want this, just think about all of the different things that you could do to try to get that. I want to lose 90 pounds. I can, go for a walk every morning. I can, run up some stairs. I can look up videos online. Whatever it is, all of these things. So you can make a list of I can, all of the different possibilities. It doesn't mean that you're going to need to do all of them. It doesn't mean that you even can do all of them. Some might be like some of the stuff that I did on my list when I was 19 about how to make money when I went back down to chiropractic college. It seemed absolutely ridiculous. And I still have that list somewhere. And I remember looking at it a few years ago and going like, how did I think I would have ever done that? It didn't matter. It's just to get your mind going. So you're just going to make this giant list. And one of the biggest things that you'll see that I want you to pick up on here, and I'm going to see if I can highlight this here, is you're gonna start to train your mind to look at this I can. You're training your mind. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. That reticular activating system is that part that looks for things that are familiar. Right? When you're in the airport, you start to hear your name over all of the people talking. Right? If you've ever bought a new car, all of a sudden you see that same car everywhere all of a sudden. Right? Because all this is this reticular activating system is always looking for things that are familiar. And so when you're training your brain, you're actually training your brain to start to think about and start to see the world in a frame that shows things that you can do and you are accomplished and that you can take care of this. So I want whatever it is, and you can make a huge list of stuff that you want. And then for each thing that are on your list of the thing that I want, you're going to make a giant list of things that I can. I can this, I can that. Anything that you feel that you can try, or even things that you can't, right? And that's going to get your brain going. There's a beautiful thing that I was reminded of last week during my men's group call, and it was a quote from Tony Robbins. And Tony said, if you can't, you must. Like some of the things that you think about when you in life. I mean, if you've got a family that you've got to support, if you've got, people that work for you, that you've got to make payroll, if there's, any sort of responsibility that you have, I mean, when you get into a place where you're like stuck between a rock and a hard place, you will find a way. You absolutely find a way. And if you're here, you have found a way. And so when we find a way, we go from I can't do it to I must do it. And so you find a way in the must. But when you must, then you can. So Tony Robbins' quote is, if you must, or if you can't, then you must. If you must, then you can. So in any situation, in every situation that you're presented with, you absolutely have the resources within you to be able to do so. An easy way to start to get going and start to rack your brain and think about that is this model here, this frame here, is that start with I want whatever it is. And then start filling in the blank. Just start thinking with the easiest little thing that you can do. What I can this, I can that, I can this, I can that. Anything that you can do that will get you closer to getting that thing. And I absolutely guarantee you, almost, that when you do that, the world will open up to you. So if you are in that place right now too, that you need to make something happen, that you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You might even be in a good place, but you are bored or you are burnt out because you know that there's something more available to you. You're stuck in a job that you don't like. You are stuck in a relationship that you can't figure out. If you are, any of these things, if you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, or even if things are good and you want to take it to the next level, here's what I want you to do next. I'm going to be doing a webinar, a live training on Wednesday, May 9th, and it's going to be absolutely killer. This is not going to be like any webinar you've been to before. This is going to be like legit training. We're going to be going through a bunch of stuff. It's a free webinar, and I guarantee you I will go over more in the free webinar than most people do in paid programs. I mean, I've been helped by a lot of people who gave away information, who gave their time and gave their expertise to me to be able to take my life to the next level, and I want to be able to do the same for you. So I'm going to drop the link in the comments below that you can get on and you can get registered. I also put it up on the screen here. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, here you go. So you can go to thetribe.rocks/live training. And that you can get yourself registered. There's only a certain amount of spots. I think there's 50 spots that are available on my platform. So, so there'll be 50 spots. So go there and get registered. I'll also put the link below, but just do something, right? I implore you, join me on the webinar. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And let's just rock it up. You know that you have the resources within you. I know. I've been in a place where I thought it was over. I could not see a way out. But when you can't, you must. And when you must, you can. I hope to see you on Wednesday, May 9th on the training. Click the link below or click this link here. Boom! thetribe.rocks/live training. And we'll see you there. Have an awesome day.